So, hello and welcome back yet again. This week we are going to be exploring Loch Modan, which is, if you are a dwarf or a gnome player, probably the second area that you will end up going to if you follow the traditional leveling path back in Classic WoW or anything like that. Now, unfortunately, Loch Modan does not have a lot of secrets, but it's a really nostalgic and quite beautiful area, and so we're going to explore it today. Now, if you remember, last week we went through the fun and far too confusing sometimes dungeon of Nomergon, but this week we're going to head into Loch Modan. If you head... what direction is that from Ironforge? Let me look here. If you head east from Ironforge, you will end up coming to the Southgate Pass. It's a little bit of a scary tunnel. It drops stones on your head periodically, but that's alright. You'll come out at the Southgate Outpost. Now, what's really fun about the Southgate Outpost is, like most outposts, it just kind of, has a few quests for you usually. Not too big of a deal, but you'll go through, you'll check it all out, see what there is, do a couple of little tiny quests, and hopefully I won't end up going back to Ironforge, which I was about to do, because tunnels, man, they get you confused every time. But you're going to go through the Shaking Tunnel and out into this beautiful, you start to leave the snow behind, and you emerge down here in the Valley of the Kings. Now, I do remember back in early World of Warcraft, you could get really messed up by heading north, because you will end up in a place that your character was not prepared for. In fact, I think way back in the early days of WoW, that this was actually a locked tunnel, the Northgate Pass. But you will end up in Searing Gorge. And if you come out in Searing Gorge, you will find a plethora of actually really fun quests. But that is not where we're going today. But we do want to stop for just a moment and appreciate the Valley of the Kings, the two dwarves with their hammers and their axes upraised. Like I said, there's not a lot in this area that you could really count as kind of secret areas. But there's some fun quests and some absolutely beautiful scenery. This is a really fun place to just quest and get a little extra experience. Now, if we were to keep going straight down this road, we would end up at Theslamar, and we will get there. But first, there is a quest line that runs down here in Stone Splitter Valley. And as you can see, the Trogs, I think they were mostly stirred up by the emergence of Deathwing during the Cataclysm. But they've pretty much taken over out here. There's a big cave back here. Not much in it other than Trogs, but it's got a big lake at the backside of it. No fish in there. I spent a long time fishing to see if there were any, but there aren't, unfortunately. But you can go through here and kind of help the dwarves clean out their trog problem a little bit. Also, up in Grizzlepaw Ridge, you will get a quest to kill this Dark Iron Dwarf, but there is a Dark Iron Dwarf up here that not only can you kill for a quest, but I think if you go over here and you see this little scroll next to him, he has a little scroll because he's stolen some secret documents and scattered them all over Loch Modan. It's a fun little quest chain. It's not really advertised as a quest chain, but it's there. And if you're looking for a basically fun little treasure hunt, that is something you can do. Now we're going to head over to Labar, which is, I was going to say, the only flight point in Loch Modan, but not any longer. There is one other. But the little dwarven village of Labar. The inn, as most dwarven inns do, has a basement with a nice little setup of 3 bedrooms, 3 little apartments. And just like the last one, you've got 1 single room with a beautiful fireplace and 2 double rooms, each with their own little fireplace. But if you would prefer to have your own house, I mean, you're still going to have to share it with dwarves, but you know, since World of Warcraft won't give us player housing, we have to make up our own. But I've poked around in most of these buildings, and most of them actually have a really nice little setup. You know, it's pretty much like what's in the basement of the inn, but all of the houses, bar one, have a little bedroom. I think my favorite one is, I think it's this one back here, the warrior's place, or the mining place, because their little bedroom is downstairs, and you've got your own little bed in its own little corner, which I kind of appreciate. I like anything that's tucked away and just sort of nice. I think that's why when we get to Pandaria, you'll see probably some of my favorite architecture in the game. I really like the Pandaren houses. Also, speaking of houses, that is the reason I'm not on screen today. I am having insulation put into my house, and everything is kind of crowded in this room around me, and it's a bit of a mess in here, but it's a mess for a good purpose, because I think that I am going to have a much warmer winter, which I really am looking forward to. All right, now you can look out here over the remains of the loch. Back in the days before the cataclysm, this was a giant, beautiful lake or loch, and on the edge of it was this nifty little house with their little dock, and I'm pretty sure under this dock, yep, there's another one of those little scrolls. And you know, if you collect all of them, I think there's either 6 or 8. Let me check really quick, because I think it's in this journal. Let's see here. We've got, and the journal that you get off of the dwarf in the cave will tell you the locations of all of them. And yeah, there are 6 of them, and it's just a good little leveling boost. But if you come over here, you can also go down here, and Kahara Deepwater has a few recipes, and one that you can only get here in Loch Modan, which is for the Loch Frenzy Delight. So if you didn't know about that, now you do. I always try to check out vendors in World of Warcraft because you never know what you're going to get. Now, with Deathwing breaking the dam, the level of the loch has gone down, and a lot more murlocs have appeared. And I think the local crocolisks have gotten just a little bit crankier because they're out patrolling in force. I did take my warlock and go through the underwater stuff. There's really nothing in the loch itself, which is kind of too bad. Kind of makes me sad a little bit. But you can go over here, and this is an area that, if you're into archaeology, will pop up as an archaeological dig site. There's also another one of those scrolls. It is up on top of one of these platforms, but I don't remember which one. And a few other little quests dealing with the trogs and things over here. Now you keep on going further, and the back of this cave, if you happen to be an engineer, this is a great cave for getting some low-level engineering stuff. You can kill the enemies in this cave, which you'll have a quest to go in anyway, and disassemble all of these proto-striders and get some good materials. And then we'll go a little bit further over here to the Farstrider Lodge. It's an enclave of high elves and their friends and associates. Actually, are they? I know there are, or there used to be a couple of elves here. There might not actually be any. This is elven architecture, though, but it does look like it has pretty much been taken over by dwarves and humans. Oh, there's the one high elf. I was like, I know that it's the Farstriders, which is a blood elf regiment. But you'll get a lot of quests in this area. Mostly, obviously, hunting, since this is sort of a hunting lodge. And one of the quests that you will get is to take out Old Sooty, which is a big bear who managed to really mess up one of the Farstriders back in there. The one thing I always feel bad about is when you come in here to kill her, she's got her 3 cubs. It's very depressing because they're all named and you can't capture them. I really want one of them to be my battle pet. Unfortunately, let's go invisible so we don't aggravate her. You've got little baby Smokey, little baby Little Sooty, and little baby Scoot. And usually when you attack the mother for the quest, you're going to end up with 3 baby bears that also attack you, and you end up taking them out, and it's always very sad. Alright. Other than that, there is a really tempting, it looks like, you can see the Twilight Citadel, and you think you could get to the Twilight Highlands through here, and you can if you have flying. I've tried to do it on foot and never actually succeeded in getting over the hills. I think depending on your class, you might be able to do it. So if you've ever managed to get out of Loch Modan and into the Twilight Highlands without a flight point or a flying mount, let me know in the comments below, because I've never managed it. So I'd be interested. Now over here we have a Ogre Stronghold, the Morgrosh Stronghold. I probably mutilated that saying, or that name, because that is what I do. I am terrible at pronouncing everything. But yeah, you'll have a few little quests. I'm pretty sure that they're working with the Twilight Cultists, who were one of the enemies that were introduced in... Well, they were introduced in Classic, but they sort of rose to prominence along with the rise of Deathwing in the Cataclysm expansion. And they've got their little camp right here. A lot of quests back here to take them out and try to deal with them. And here you can see the destruction of the Stone Rot Dam. Kind of tragic because it used to hold back the loch and now it no longer does so. And you can see the wetlands, which we have already explored just off in the distance down there. No secret rooms, nothing exciting through here. I was really kind of disappointed. Most areas you end up finding at least one little tidbit that's really secret and interesting and fun, but I haven't found anything here. Now you'll also have some quests over here to go into the Silver Stream mine. These gnolls are like little rats. They get everywhere and it's kind of a pain in the butt quest, but that's alright. Now here at Algaz Station, you can go through to the wetlands, or I'm pretty sure this tunnel goes through the North Gate Pass. I think this ends up in Searing Gorge? Not Searing Gorge. We'll find out. I can't remember where it goes through. I just remember it is another one of those that you're like, ooh, I probably shouldn't have gone there. Oh, just back to Dunmora. Well, never mind. I guess I don't know what I'm talking about. That's all right. I don't know what I'm talking about quite often, actually. So yeah, that is pretty much it for Loch Modan, unfortunately. It's a really fun zone. It's got a lot of really fun quests, but like I said, it's a fairly straightforward zone. There's not too many quest chains that you can do. There's a few, but this is one of those very fast areas. You know, I think you can probably knock out all the quests in it at level in a day. You're not going to spend a lot of time here, but it's a nice area. Can't think of any specific rares that are in this area. And again, you do have your choice of housing here in Theslamar. You just have to, I guess, ignore the NPCs that are in the way. So, or you can just come and have a seat outside and hope that one of the dwarves brings you a nice big cup of mead. So, I think that's where we're going to leave it this week. Sorry that this one's so short, but like I said, other than a lot of really fun questing, I couldn't find anything in Loch Modan that was really massively secretive or significant. But that's just kind of the way it goes from time to time. So, have a wonderful week, and I will see you next time. And what is next time going to be? Let me check on that really quick. It looks like, I think the next area we're going to explore is going to be the Badlands. So I will see you next week when we go and explore the Badlands.